All right, welcome back. So recently, I've been casually shopping for higher-end bikes such as the Pivot Switchblade and the Trail 49, and always think, wow, these are really expensive. In fact, I was at a local bike store over the holidays where they had a Trail 49 in stock, Trail 429, and I think, they had a basic build and it was like $7,000. I was home and I was back thinking about this, and I came across this video by Bike 198 that talks about the cost of bike prices and bike components, and it made some fantastic points about bike pricing that I want to build upon in this video. So I'm not going to get into why bike and component prices are so high, as there's likely reasonable economic arguments for this. And I don't have any real data to kind of back it up, so anything I say would be speculation. But there are a number of videos out there that go into what happened during COVID, inventory levels, supply chains, etc. And some of these are by bike shop owners as well, and they're probably in a much better position to talk about that. So I'll leave that to other content creators out there and just focus more kind of on an opinion piece. So the key message about bike pricing is this. As a consumer, don't fall for the marketing that you need the most expensive, latest and greatest mountain bike. With the innovations in bike technology over the years, the gap between mid-range and high-end has gotten much smaller, even if the prices don't reflect that. To mirror some of the statements from the Bike 198 video, paying a hypothetical 50% more in price doesn't necessarily bring a noticeable 50% increase in performance. Maybe it does for some people, but not for most, and definitely not for me. So as an example, let's take a look at two bikes. The first is the one I purchased back in, I think, early 2023. So the pricing may be a little off, but it's still a good indicator. And I purchased a Canyon Spectral 29 AL6. I don't believe this exact model is currently available. I think there are other aluminum models, but it provides a good comparison. So at the time I bought it, it was about $3,300. And the bike came with a RockShox Lyric Select Plus fork, a RockShox Super Deluxe Select Plus shock, SRAM GX Eagle components, and DT Swiss 370 wheels. Generally a pretty good setup. And when I purchased it, I intentionally bought the aluminum version of the bike to get the higher end components. And I remember making the trade-off between, hey, a carbon frame and lower end parts and the aluminum frame and higher end parts. And I went into that in another one of my videos as well. So anyway, so that setup, all of this is you're riding on the aluminum frame. And I think it's a really nice package for the price. And I think even today you can get something in the similar price range in a similar spec, and if you go a little bit lower on the spec, you can save almost $1,000 on that. So really good price performance. So that's kind of one end of the spectrum. I call it the mid-range, maybe lower mid-range mountain bike. So compare that to the type of bike I've been lusting after these days, which is something from Pivot, like I said, either a Switchblade or a Trail 429. So compare that to a high-end Pivot Switchblade build, which comes in at $7,700. I just did a kind of run through on their website. It has a carbon frame, full XTR components, and that's not even the highest end Switchblade build, which if you throw on carbon wheels and the full SRAM electric shifting, I think XX1 transmission, comes in at $11,500. Now, just think about like the 7,700, the cheaper one, right? That Pivot is 175% more expensive than the Canyon I described. So the thing is, will you get 175% better riding or more enjoyment? I really don't think so. And I'm sure when you rode the Pivot, you would notice the difference right away and you'd probably be wowed by it. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from the bike. I'm sure they are much better bikes. The engineering they have put in it and the refinement, you'll probably notice it right away and you'll be blown away. The thing is, after a couple weeks of riding it, you'll get used to it and that'll just be the norm and it won't wow you anymore. So you'll just go back to mountain biking and that's great. And so again, you won't get the 175% better enjoyment, but when the bills come due, you might not be so happy about that investment. Now, like any good hobby, I think we all want to throw money at it for no good reason. That's the best part about hobby. And during the holiday sales, after I made videos about this, I desperately wanted to find an upgrade because I like playing around. I looked at new suspension, new wheels, and even small things like carbon handlebars or something like that. I thought about getting an AXS upgrade kit. I think they were on sale for under $500. I was like, I'm going to do this. I would come really close to placing the order. And in the end, I realized that what I had wasn't too far away from being the best components. And I probably wouldn't notice the difference for very long, and I couldn't justify the cost. In fact, when I looked at some components like new forks or new shocks in which there were some really good deals, I was like, I'm moving just like a step or two up, and it's just not worth the investment. And so does that mean it's bad to buy all this stuff? Like, not at all. That's not what I'm saying. I think for many of us, it is a hobby. We enjoy upgrading our bike, and we enjoy working on our bike, and it's super fun. Like I said, I'm still shopping around trying to find some meaningless upgrade, which will mostly be the set of wheels I argued against buying in a previous video. The overall point is not to be fooled or pressured into thinking you need it. It's a hobby, it's fun, and splurging is fun too. When you're shopping, like, just understand that. Don't fall victim to it, acknowledge it for what it is, and make your decisions accordingly. Even after I said all of this, and I'm like almost talking to myself here, giving myself advice, I'm still lusting after one of those pivots, and if the day comes and I could splurge on one, I might do that, but I do it knowing that it is a splurge, and I'm going to enjoy it for some period of time until it becomes more normal, and unfortunately I'll probably go into lusting after something else. That's a whole other problem. So I'll just say one other thing. If you're listening to this and you've been sitting on the sidelines and haven't upgraded your bike or purchased a new bike for a long time, like let's say several decades like I did, please definitely go out and splurge at that point. I would suggest something in that $3,000 range, because the innovations that have happened over that time frame are simply amazing. And I can tell you from personal experience that going from your older bike that could be 10, 15 years old to modern technology will simply blow your mind. And coming from this 20-year-old Cannondale that I was riding until recently when I got back into mountain biking, coming from that even to lower end Spectral was simply amazing. I don't think it would have mattered if I had gone all the way and spent $10,000 on a new bike, because the difference would have been stunning either way. Anyhow, those are my quick thoughts on the subject. I'd love to hear what you think about bike pricing, how you approach the hobby, how you approach purchasing components, splurging, etc. Go ahead and leave the comments below, and we will see you next time.